Thank you, all three of you. And I think Gambira just left me with a lovely baton to keep going on, which is about witnessing, being a witness to metta. I found that very eloquently describing something that I was going to talk about. So I was going to start somewhere else, but because quite a few comments there were similar to mine, I've decided to start with something a bit more spontaneous, which was, I know I said there was a lost dog walking around in our front garden. And so I just went out to check in that little 5-minute break. And apparently there were quite a lot of dogs out there whilst we were in here. And my partner, Chris, was saying, oh, yeah, that dog got picked up by the neighbours, and then another dog was being carried around by one of our neighbours, as a new puppy, where you're not allowed to let them on the ground because of a virus. And during this pandemic, our dog, who's actually called Metta, which seems appropriate to be talking about. So we've noticed she really is yearning for the company of other dogs, but we haven't been able to go to those dog play sessions or anything because of COVID and all the restrictions. But we just notice she'll sit and she won't move after seeing a little dog, or she's just so overexcited. So she hasn't learned socialization. Anyway, this new dog being carried by the neighbour, Chris invited the new dog in to meet Metta, just to say little nose to nose. So our dog trainer has been saying just 5 seconds where you could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they get positive experiences. Anyway, so they had a lovely little nose to nose thing, and Chris was telling me about it, and he was crying just because we know how much our dog really wants this company. And I just thought, oh, it just shows what a natural quality, like being glad. So I was thinking about mudita, being glad for someone's or some being's experience, and that we do access this in our day-to-day lives, and really to cherish it. And so I was thinking about the naturalness of the garden, and just to trust your own intuitive sense of allowing the space to just notice it. And so that's where Gambira's witnessing, I think, is a really lovely word to point us to just noticing it in our own environment, because it doesn't matter if it's my partner experiencing it, or one of you sharing a story, or I notice it at work. I work in a hospital, and I just so appreciate working in a team, because I have another role at home where I work by myself, and I really made sure that I could work in a team, because you get the experience and the appreciation of everyone's skill set and personality. And one thing I do at work is really make sure I do rejoice in people's skills, or something they've done, or when they've provided me with some support, I really like to acknowledge it out loud to them. And like we call it rejoicing in merits in Buddhism, but it's also just a natural sense of way of building connection and support and kindness. Because often, when I might say something to someone like, oh, I really appreciated how you were so thorough with them, with that family, and maybe it was in a family meeting and they've said something, or someone's presented someone in a way that's really been holistic, and it's quite hard in like a 2-minute time to bring everything to the table to discuss. Or I might have appreciated one of the physios helping me with seeing a client who I was feeling overwhelmed by. And so instead of me feeling less and like, oh, I didn't really have the capacity, or I wasn't feeling as confident in that scenario, or I don't have that skill set, if I'm turning it around and really enjoying and acknowledging and sharing how much I appreciate other people, I feel that my mental state and everyone else's is more inspired. And people often say, oh, I wondered how I went because I wasn't sure I did this, or, you know, there's like an opportunity for just a real sense of like, none of us are, you know, maybe feeling we're doing the best job all the time. So I don't know, just creating that blossoming garden where you notice that someone else's flower looks beautiful, and you just want to appreciate it. And I'm sure some of you have read that, I think it's the Mega Sutta of the Pali Canon, where the rain from the cloud rains equally on all the flowers and all beings. And so what comes up is uniquely, you know, faceted flower or tree or bush, depending on the conditions that it finds itself in. And I love that sutta because it allows us all to, I suppose, share our uniqueness and appreciate the differences, and to be a unified garden. And I liked what Sadhara had said about creatively coexisting with the mice in the compost heap. I've got 3 minutes, so I might just share just a little bit of what I was also going to say about communication being very important to me. And I've done a lot of compassionate communication practice. And I was thinking about quietly tending your own inner garden as an important compassion practice. So when I get triggered in a communication, which often happens for me because I so love harmony and cooperation is really, really important to me. So when it doesn't happen, I feel a bit jarred. So what I know works for me, so this happened because we're in lockdown, a lot's happening with my partner. Not much is happening, partner and work, that's it. But partner making cups of coffee, I'm thinking, oh, I've got this great idea for training the dog. We're going to, you know, Chris's son is going to move in so we can get him to start meeting and greeting the dog like our training video. Anyway, it was early in the morning and that didn't go down well with my partner because he had a whole to-do list during the day. And I was thinking about how helpful it is with what I've learned about compassion for yourself. So initially I'm jarred. Initially I have to tend my own uncomfortable parts of my inner garden. And just, I find it helpful to create that gap and to really reflect on, well, what is it that I'm valuing that I'm not being able to meet in this scenario? So for me, it was like, I want to do it cooperatively, and I want the dog to be a successful dog. We've been getting a lot of teaching about really helping the dog be successful in life. And so once I acknowledged how important those two things were, cooperation and a successful dog, something about clearing away the baggage kindly then can allow me to be receptive to the fact that the other person that's required for this cooperative piece of work has a to-do list. And so if I can be really then more receptive, I can hear and create something together. So I was just wanting to share that. And so they're just a couple of pragmatic examples of me practicing some of the Brahma Viharas. So thank you, everyone.